My name is D-Man the Great, and I'm here to tell you what happens in Arrow before Crisis on Infinite Earths because spoilers exist, and 3 days isn't enough to watch 8 seasons of television. And to do that, I must become someone else. I must become something else. I must become a TV reviewer. So the story of Arrow begins as billionaire playboy Oliver Queen is trapped on an island called Lian and he returns back to his home to save and right the wrongs of his father. Now, a lot of the stuff that happens in Arrow doesn't really matter for Crisis on Infinite Earths, but the character of Oliver Queen has been through a lot in the last few years, and we might get little tidbits of information about the character, but it's not going to really matter because they're going to be fighting Crisis. But the point being is, he started off as an anti-hero in a way, and then he's grown into being a hero, inspiring hope, justice, and truth, and all of that. And Oliver Queen is the second, not the originator, but the second hero to have his own show on the CW as the main guy. Shouts out to Smallville from 2001 with Tom Welling's Clark Kent, who will have an appearance in the crossover in some form or fashion. But the point of Arrow being is that this is the original show that started off the entire Arrowverse. And now the story for Arrow really begins with Crisis in Season 2, as Barry Allen is introduced in Season 2, Episode 9. He has 3 goals. He's in 3 goals. He's in a couple episodes back to back. But he's introduced to Star City, and he's just a CSI at that point. But at the end of this crossover, it wasn't the crossover yet because it was just a guest appearance by Barry Allen in this case, where he gets struck by lightning and the particle accelerator detonates in Central City. And with this happening, this introduces a bunch of everything to the world of Arrow. And I'm going to also make another video about the Flash as well, so I could really dive into it, because I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to Arrow if I was just going on about the Flash. But the Flash being introduced to the series through time shenanigans that I'm going to get into, with Reverse Flash going back in time and killing Barry's mother, which was the start of the Flash series necessarily. And that particular event had ripples throughout the time, so this is like not even the first timeline we're experiencing as we watch Arrow. And the Flash timeline we have now isn't the original timeline for our Barry Allen that we witness on TV every week in Earth 1, as they call it. So, with Barry Allen being the Flash and introducing superpowers and things of the sort, and the event of Flashpoint and the shenanigans of the Season 5 of Flash has changed the Crisis on Infinite Earths around the majority of the time, because the original date for it was in 2024, but now it's been updated to 2019 because of the last season of the Flash and the events that happened towards the end there, and Elseworlds, which happened last year. And then now, in the case we are in now, we have the scenario of what does Arrow tie into Crisis? Well, Arrow ties into Crisis because since last season, Oliver Queen, at the end of Elseworlds, he decided to sacrifice himself at a later date to team up with the Monitor later on to save Kara, Supergirl, and Barry, the Flash's life, so they wouldn't die before the next Crisis, because Crisis shenanigans were going on in Elseworlds last year, because we saw how the Monitor had killed a lot of the superheroes in Earth 90 with John Wesley Shipp's Barry Allen from that time period. We might see a reappearance of him as well in this new crossover. But we're going to see a bunch of heroes in this new crossover. We're going to see a bunch of little other stuff now, tidbits, smidgets, and things of the sort. But that's going to come into play for Crisis as well. But we have the unfortunate problem where everything comes from the Flash's storyline. So really, Arrow didn't really have much to do with it until Crisis this year. So we're going to kind of knock out Arrow Season 8 pretty fast. It was pretty much proving to Oliver Queen that he had to be ready and prepared to sacrifice himself to save the universe, or the multiverse, as they call it. Because they have to save as many Earths as possible if they can. And as we've seen in the trailers, that a few Earths will be wiped from existence, and it's going to be very different to see what happens to the Supergirl universe now, because it's like, oh, if all the central characters in Supergirl die and she has to move to Earth 1, what does Kara Danvers have to look up to? Or if Black Lightning is who's going to be in the crossover, had a tidbit of a line that's talking about his world being erased. If Black Lightning's world is erased, what happens to his kids? Where are they at? What happens to Freeland? Just things of that sort. And that's why Crisis on Infinite Earths isn't necessarily the biggest Arrow storyline. It's a big storyline for Arrow because this is the last season of Arrow. But at the end of the day, we get to the dilemma where, hey, we can't kill Barry Allen, we can't kill Grant Gustin off of his own TV series, and we have no one to replace him with. This is called The Flash. We can't kill Melissa Benoist off of Supergirl, even though both of their characters die in the Crisis in the comic books. So it's like, oh, well, we can't kill Melissa Benoist off Supergirl. We can't kill the stars of 2 of our shows for this event. And we have to get someone whose show is ending, and Stephen Amell, his character can die here. He's been playing the Green Arrow for 8 years. So we get to this point. And then now we're in the dilemma where you have 2 central characters that can't die, which makes this a brand new story, and the stakes are even higher because... But the thing is, a lot of these shows are continuing further past this point. So you really have no flexibility with who you can kill, because it's not like The Flash is ending after this season, or Supergirl's ending, or Legends of Tomorrow's ending, or Black Lightning is ending, because Black Lightning is better than it has been for a while right now. But that's kind of just my go over right now. I'm going to speak to you again in another video.